Clark being frustrated. Caitlin Clark wanted to come back. Word on the street, front office, even Stephanie White said it down in Phoenix. She stated, we are worried about the long-term health of Caitlin Clark. That has been the topic. That has been all.
Caitlin Clark, the superstar who lifted the Indiana Fever from obscurity to playoff contention, has been benched, not by rivals, not by age, but by her own front office. The same suits who owe her everything are now trying to sideline the face of women's basketball. But Clark isn't backing down. She's not accepting it quietly. She's fired up, ready to fight, and she's making it clear no one benches Caitlin Clark.
Is Caitlin Clark not playing because she's hurt? She can't come back? Or is she not playing because the organization chose to bench her for the rest of the year? Because Stephanie White has come out and made some comments, and I don't like what I'm hearing.
The Indiana Fever are officially headed to the playoffs for the second straight year. A franchise record 23 wins, their first winning season since 2015. But guess who won't be for the most important games of the year? The player who made it all possible. The one who turned empty seats into sellouts, whose name alone brings crowds, headlines, and revenue. Caitlin Clark has been ruled out for the rest of the season, including the playoffs, and she's not just frustrated, she's furious. And she has every right to be.
And the Indiana Fever are having a tough time covering the tracks to the dirty games they played and screwing over the fans and sabotaging Caitlin Clark. Everybody is on to the dirty games that the WNBA and the Indiana Fever have played this season, manipulating the people and using Caitlin Clark for money and using her fans. Stephanie White has been exposed. Lexi Hall confirms that Caitlin Clark was ready to play and that the team made the decision to keep her out while she was.
The front office is acting like they're protecting the crown jewels, bubble wrapping Caitlin Clark for some future that apparently matters more than the present. They're practically patting themselves on the back for being cautious, expecting applause for sidelining the very player who turned this team into must-watch basketball.
Steph, what stood out to you about Caitlin and kind of the array of emotion she probably felt as you came to this decision?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, number one, just all the injuries that she's had. Obviously, I wouldn't speak for her, but and the amount of work that she's put in to position herself to be able to play and then to, have to ultimately make this decision. There's disappointment. There's the obvious frustration that's come with not being healthy really for an entire season. But ultimately, I think the big picture is the most important thing, and those are conversations that we've continued to have. And the message has continued to be that it's not her long-term health and wellness and her being 100% when she's ready to go is the most important thing.
Clark made the Fever relevant again, and now she's being benched like a liability. Fans aren't buying it. Caitlin Clark isn't just another name on the injury list, she's the reason anyone talks about the Indiana Fever. This franchise spent 7 straight years as a league afterthought, nowhere near the playoffs. Then Clark arrives, and suddenly they're postseason contenders, packing arenas and headlining SportsCenter.
Caitlin Clark strapped on her hard hat and steel-toed boots and revolutionized the game of pretend basketball. She turned this previously unmonetizable turd into a league that's getting dangerously close to losing their charity status. Because of Caitlin Clark, the WNBA is on the verge of generating pesos and profit for the first time ever. She brought mainstream attention to a league that never had a chance of breaking into the mainstream. She brought a new fan base. For the first time, people were actually willing to spend money to watch the WNBA.
She didn't just play, she transformed. From basement dwellers to ballroom guests, all because of Caitlin. And how did the suits repay her? By telling her to sit this one out. It's not just a tactical misstep, it's borderline disrespect. You don't bench the main character just as the story hits its climax. It's like a Marvel movie cutting the superhero from the final battle over wear and tear concerns. The fans came for Caitlin Clark, now she's gone, right when it matters most.
Which I'm all for the long-term health, but you got to be a player-first organization. And if that player if that said player is ready to return, she's cleared by the doctors. She's cleared by the damn doctors to play. Been cleared by the doctors to play. Let her fucking play. I am sorry. Y'all sitting up here, donkey and a damn carried everybody, wanting to get all the money you can off one day. It's one day at a time, one day at a time. All this BS y'all doing is ridiculous. And Indiana, you're looking spooky. You're looking spooky. I am sorry.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. July 15th, 2025. Connecticut Sun. Final minute of the game. Caitlin Clark makes a routine pass, then suddenly reaches for her right groin. The cameras catch it all, her head buried in her hands, a towel over her shoulders, the frustration and heartbreak written all over her face. That moment changed everything. Not because doctors shut her down, they cleared her for non-contact practice. Not because Clark wanted out, she didn't. The Fever front office made the call. And the league felt it instantly. The moment Clark left the court, WNBA TV ratings dropped by over 50%. Not a typo, 50%. More than half the audience checked out. Why? Because Caitlin wasn't playing.
Instead of allowing Caitlin Clark to elevate the league, WNBA players were overtaken with powerful feelings of jealousy. They resented her. They wanted her to go away. And this season, and especially over the last couple of months, WNBA players have gotten exactly what they wanted. After 2 years of claiming that the WNBA is about more than one player, unknown dump divers were finally given the opportunity to prove it. As expected, the end result has been huge embarrassing.
That's the kind of gravity she has. When she plays, it's an event. When she doesn't, it's just another game. Look no further than her first showdown with Angel Reese's team. 2.7 million viewers on ESPN, the most watched game of the year. Clark posted a triple-double and lit up the internet. Reese? 12 points and a lot of side-eye. Caitlin Clark is the show, the whole show, and without her, the lights just don't shine as bright.
The Fever fan base has lost so much trust in the Fever organization this year, and not only from the injury reporting, but it stems from the injury reporting. There's been some very, very weird injury reports this season, and the math isn't mathing. And I've also been one to defend the organization to a certain extent because you don't always want to give away too much information. And I've placed a lot of the blame on the reporters. I'm like, how are the reporters not able to get to the bottom of this and at least give us something?
For nearly 2 months, the Indiana Fever dangled hope in front of fans like a carrot on a stick. Day to day, they said, we're just being cautious. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark was grinding in the gym every single day with one goal, getting back on the court. She was doing non-contact drills, participating in shoot-arounds, clearly on the verge of returning. She was ready to lead her team into the postseason, but then came the twist. The front office, the same people who've cashed in on the Caitlin Clark phenomenon from day one, decided to shut her down. Not because she couldn't play, not because doctors said no, but because they wanted to protect her long-term health.
This is a sabotage job, you guys. Flat out, point blank. You guys have not been open and up front. You guys have talked about long-term health and wellness. You guys have not been up front with the injuries, with the injury report, with the timetable. You guys left this girl listed as day-to-day and questionable for months at a time. That is not being upfront with the people. It's not. You guys hid an injury, an ankle injury, for weeks. You guys hid an ankle injury for weeks.
Let's call it what it is, protecting their investment. Even if it meant sidelining the player who gave them their first real shot at a championship in years. Caitlin Clark released a statement that should send a chill down every executive's spine. I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spend hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. Let that sink in. Disappointed isn't a big enough word. This is Caitlin Clark, the woman who's faced pressure that would crush most, who carried an entire league on her back, who turned the Indiana Fever from a forgotten franchise into playoff contenders, shattering attendance records and dominating national headlines. She didn't just lift a team, she reignited a sport, and yet her own organization has left her feeling something beyond disappointment. That's not just frustration.
When she hurt her ankle in August, that was really the dagger that ended the season. But also, they had no idea when that groin injury would have healed. See, this is the part that's frustrating with these guys, is that why can't they just say mid-grade 2 or 3? Just tell the truth. Was it a 1? Was it a 2? Was it a 3? Was it a 1, but she re-aggravated in practice or something? Did they over-push her?
The most important thing for us is Caitlin's long-term health. How noble, how considerate, how utterly insulting to a competitor like Clark. This is a woman who's played through adversity her entire career, never missed a game at Iowa, never missed a game in her rookie WNBA season. But now, suddenly the front office knows better than she does about her own body? Here's the truth they don't want you to hear. Clark was participating in team activities. She was running 5-on-0 drills with the squad. She was right on the edge of returning. Even medical experts began to question the team's day-to-day line, calling it misleading and suggesting her injury was minor, not season-ending.
She stated, I miss it too. Y'all want to know why Caitlin Clark said this? Because Caitlin Clark never wanted to sit out. Caitlin Clark wanted to come back. Caitlin Clark wanted to come back, and they're treating her like she's property. That's what the Indiana Fever is doing. She's their property now. And since Caitlin Clark can have the say on whether she can play basketball or not, which is completely damn me ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. If she could play and she want to play, let her fucking play.
But instead of letting their star finish what she started, the Fever pulled the plug, shutting down the player who made them matter again. And how does Caitlin Clark respond to this betrayal? With pure, unfiltered honesty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continue to show up for me and for the Fever has brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot. Notice what she did there. She thanked the fans, she praised her teammates.
So by making the playoffs and by shutting down Caitlin Clark, it means that they fully believe that Caitlin Clark is not going to be an asset to this team, and they would rather go into the playoffs with Bree Hall on the roster than with a Caitlin Clark. And I don't know if it's a situation of like they would rather do that than go in with Caitlin Clark, and they would rather go in not have the headache of Caitlin Clark. It straight up seems that this front office, whether it be the coach down, they do not want the headache of constant Caitlin Clark.
But not a single word of thanks for the front office that benched her. That silence says everything. Clark knows exactly who's responsible for keeping her off the court during the biggest games of the year, and she isn't hiding it. Here's where it gets even more infuriating. The Indiana Fever desperately need Caitlin Clark. Sitting as the 7th seed, they clinched their playoff spot with a 94-65 rout of the Washington Mystics. But now they head into the postseason without their superstar, their biggest draw, their very identity. Fans are already doubting the team's chances without Clark, and rightly so. The front office talks about protecting her future, but what about protecting the franchise's future? What about the thousands of fans who bought playoff tickets expecting to witness the Caitlin Clark show? What about the TV ratings that will nosedive without the league's brightest star? They put hypothetical long-term concerns above real, immediate championship opportunities. This decision reeks of organizational arrogance.
I missed this so bad. Caitlin Clark's message on her Instagram story. I missed this. It's just a tough thing to process, I'm sure, for her as well. And then the way it went down, it wasn't like a sudden thing, which in the long run is better, right? I mean, it's better that it wasn't an ACL or an Achilles or one of these injuries that's going to sideline her for a prolonged period of time. But the hope of her return, and then the ankle injury messing everything up in the process of that and making it so she couldn't return, it has to be burned.
The same front office that saw Clark transform the Fever from irrelevant to must-watch suddenly thinks they can win without her. They're about to learn a harsh lesson. Sidelining greatness in favor of corporate caution comes at a steep cost. Clark's statement continues, "I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. Everyone who had her back. Not everyone in the organization. Not the decision makers. Everyone who had her back." That's a clear, not-so-subtle jab at those who didn't support her when it mattered most. This isn't just about one player missing the playoffs. It's about respect. It's about recognizing what Clark has meant to this franchise and the entire league. She's been the WNBA's golden goose, the player who brought unprecedented attention, passion, and revenue to women's basketball. And her reward, getting benched by front office suits who've never stepped on the court.
The WNBA had a star come in that has not had this much impact on a sport since Tiger Woods. That is how big Caitlin Clark is. That is the global impact, and it's not just an American impact. That's the global impact that Caitlin Clark has had on this league. The amount of eyeballs, attendance, all of the things. We've been over all of it. It's the Caitlin Clark effect, Clarkonomics, whatever you want to call it. At this point in time, if you're still denying that, I don't know what to say. You're not living in reality. Unfortunately, though, there are still people at this point in time who are still denying that. When Caitlin Clark went out with injury in the beginning of the season, the viewership dropped over 50%.
The most maddening part, Clark was ready, putting in the work, grinding through rehab, doing everything asked of her. Yet the front office decided they knew better than a competitor who's never backed down in her life. They chose fear over championship aspirations, sidelining their best shot at glory and alienating the very player who made it possible. And now the front office has to explain to fans why the most electrifying player in women's basketball is watching the playoffs from the sidelines. They have to justify why ticket sales will drop, why TV ratings will plunge, and why the Fever's championship window just slammed shut, all because they couldn't trust their franchise player to understand her own body and make her own decisions. Clark's final words in her statement are telling. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot. They took the player who saved their franchise and told her she couldn't be trusted to finish what she started. They chose corporate caution over competitive fire, spreadsheets over championships, and the fans will pay the price. Caitlin Clark deserved better. The fans deserved better. And when the Fever inevitably fall short in the playoffs without their superstar, everyone will know exactly who's to blame. Not the injury, not bad luck, the front office that was too scared to let greatness shine when it mattered most. Disappointed isn't even close to enough. It shouldn't be. As we gear up to watch the Indiana Fever in the playoffs without their one and only Caitlin Clark, let's take a moment to mourn what could have been. The front office wanted to play it safe, but in the end, they played themselves. And Clark, she'll be back next season with a vengeance. Mark my words. You thought she had a chip on her shoulder before? After this, she'll have the whole damn casino. Meanwhile, the Fever will learn the hard way that clipping the wings of their golden goose leaves them with nothing but eggs, and nobody buys tickets for eggs. If the front office can't see that, well, enjoy the silence.